3 seconds.
Okay.
And hey, Danielle, we're getting ready to go live. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
Oh my God, I want to shout out to everyone that's had a traumatic brain injury. Guys, I just want to tell you there is hope out there. There is definitely solutions for you. Don't listen to what your doctors are saying. Stay positive and you can create the life you want.
I love that. Here we go. Today, guys, we're talking with Danielle Matthews. Let me tell you just a little bit about Danielle. In 2012, Danielle was hit by a drunk driver and sustained a traumatic brain injury, setting her life on a different course. We're going to learn from her inspiring story and perspective that has touched thousands of people around the world. Our intention is to use what she learned to impact the lives of others through educating on mindset, technologies, and techniques that can empower people to get the most out of life. Danielle, thank you for being here, and I'm excited to hear your story, your solution, and how you help others. So let's jump right into it. So it, I've never known anyone that had a traumatic brain injury. So why don't we start with that? What happened, and how did you get this injury?
Yeah. It's interesting. I was young, healthy. I was 23 years old. I was actually in Baltimore City, driving out. I spent the night hanging out with my friends for their birthday and was going to meet my parents for a wedding. And a gentleman was driving his car, I guess had been out all night partying, and came into my lane and hit me head on. He passed out while driving, and turned out he was under the influence. And my world changed. It was interesting though, Michael, with brain injury, you don't see it right away. So I had what was classified as a mild traumatic brain injury, which I think is a bit of an oxymoron.
Right.
uh,
Right.
but I didn't have a bleed. I wasn't needing to relearn to talk, to walk. I wasn't in a coma. And I looked fine. And that was the one thing that was so frustrating in the weeks, months, and years that followed, was everyone would always say to me, well, Danielle, but you look fine. Because I looked like this. But I couldn't focus. I had severe migraines. I mean, my head felt like it was going to explode. I couldn't handle any sort of input. So if I was around even just natural light, it felt like somebody was like shining a flashlight directly in my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to put blackout fabric, on the windows. I had to stop working because I couldn't handle it. I was teaching at the time. Any sort of noise was overwhelming to me at all. It was like my brain couldn't siphon out like what's important, what's not. I'd be hearing the air conditioning going, the knife hitting the plate, the person talking, like it would all come in at once for me. And it just felt like a cacophony of noise. And I was very dizzy. And as you can imagine, just psychologically, I took a hit. I've always been a very positive person, but the world that I had known ended. I couldn't be with friends. I couldn't earn an income. I couldn't do anything. And doctors weren't giving me answers. They basically said, with this type of injury, we typically try to get someone with a brain injury to the space you're in now. And so what's going to happen will remain to be seen. It might clear up in a month, might be, 3. At that point, they told me 6 months. At my 1-year appointment, my neurologist literally said to me, Danielle, with your type of injury, your body's done the healing it's going to do. And this is just your new normal. And you need to adjust your life around it.
Wow, that is astounding. So, literally all the time, you were just having so much extra input that it was hard to function.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. I sometimes just get ringing in my ears, and it's enough to drive me crazy. So,
Yeah.
what did you do while you had it? In other words, you're there, you've got this problem, and you can't really express it to anyone because they don't see it. It's just inside your head.
I know that was probably the most frustrating thing. Even myself, I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, Danielle, snap out of it, come on. But I couldn't. And I tried, I've been an athlete my whole life. So, you just push past things, you keep going, you get back in the game, whatever it is. That's what I tried. And so for a year, I was almost butting up against my injury, refusing to accept its limitations it was putting on my life, and continuing to try and push and do things. And it's a recipe for disaster. I wasn't giving myself any sort of time to heal. And I was just causing a lot of anxiety. I would have panic attacks, honestly, Michael, because I would start thinking about my future, and I couldn't even plan an hour out because I didn't know how I would be feeling. So let alone, how am I ever going to earn an income again? What's my future going to look like? I'd literally just start crying. I'd hyperventilate. I'd soak my shirt. And it was difficult that first year. And honestly, like what I found to do, it was like I would plan my day in 15-minute segments because I wouldn't know what to do with myself. So I would say, like, wake up and go stretch for 15 minutes. Then it would like go downstairs. Like I would plan the night before what to do. Otherwise I would just kind of sit there because I didn't, I just like didn't know what to do with myself.
Wow. So you did that for a year.
Yeah. Mhm.
What made it change? Because your doctor said, you know what, we're done with you. You can't do
Yeah.
anything else.
I think that moment, I think you can look back in life, and you find these like inflection points where something happened that there was just this internal shift, like a pivot. And when he said that to me, I remember something within me said, well, you're fired because this isn't going to be my life. And then I watched a movie. It was that summer. I watched a movie called The Crash Reel, which has Kevin Pierce talks about how he was, getting ready for the Olympics. It was a documentary he was filming. He's an incredible snowboarder, and he had an injury, and he sustained a brain injury while he was getting ready for the Olympics. And they kept filming, and so this entire documentary was all about how he came through that, and then founded the Love Your Brain Foundation and started to bring awareness to brain injury. And he was still very much injured, right? He couldn't ride. He had to let go of the life he used to have, but he was finding happiness and he was making a difference still. And I thought, okay, if he went from this pinnacle of this career, gone through essentially what I've gone through, he was even worse, and, came back out and is now doing something productive and is happy. I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And what I started to do, and I now call it mind control, because it's like, that's what it took. It took me saying, okay, I need to realize that I think of life like a simple equation. There's the external world plus your internal response to it that creates your reality. And my internal response to my brain injury, to the car accident, had been one of frustration, refusing to accept it, pushing. And my reality had been awful. It had been filled with anxiety and depression. And, so then I said, all right, I can't change the rules. I can't change the fact that this happened. I can't go back and, tell that guy not to drink. Like, none of that can happen. And I've got very real limitations on my health and what I'm physically able to do. But I thought, well, what can I do? And I started to shift myself internally. I say, okay, well, I can think about one thing a day I'm grateful for. And so I started a gratitude journal. And every single night I would stare at that piece of paper until something came up that I could be grateful for. And then slowly, it's not like it came out quickly, but slowly my brain started to just like rewire itself. And all I could think about was how grateful I was for a litany of things throughout the day. And as that started to happen, I also started to say, okay, well, I can like go hang out with my grandparents. They don't mind sitting in a dark room. They can talk to me quietly. I can handle that. And I got to like just tap into their wisdom, and I got to hear about their lives, and like, what precious time. I don't know anybody in their 20s that just gets to like sit and soak in that from family. And so these little things started to happen. I started to be able to take the dog on a walk, right?
Right.
Little pieces that shifted my happiness. And at the same time, my mom had introduced me to something called Yoga Nidra, which is a guided meditation. And you do it laying down in a dark room. And I thought, well, that is one thing I can do.
How perfect is that, right?
It was like, sign me up. So I laid down, and she delivered it to me the first time, and I had her record it because I fell asleep and slept deeply for the first time when she did that, because I was exhausted all the time, but my brain never turned off. So I would be up every couple of hours. With the Yoga Nidra, I went to sleep and I stayed asleep. And then I started to do it. And I would, like, if I felt myself getting overwhelmed, I'd go into a dark room and I'd do the Yoga Nidra. And it was like it was resetting my nervous system every time.
By the way, is Yoga Ninja like yoga, like where you're doing poses and stuff, or is it something different? I'd never heard of that.
It stands for yogic sleep. And so it's literally just a meditation. And if people want to try it, actually, and I haven't told you this, Michael, I have it on my website, brainbodyself.com. The self tab is, there's a 20-minute yoga nidra, so someone can lay down and try it. And I love it because it's like meditation made easy. You don't
Awesome.
have to sit up straight. You don't have all this stuff. It's like, no, lay flat, be comfortable. And the yogis designed it in a way that you walk through like awareness techniques in the body to get tension out of the body, then the breath, then energetically. And it's just slowly getting you into that meditative state, but it's doing it in a way that like the body's used to. And then when you're in that meditative state, you get to set an intention. And that's the cool part because, your brain is like programmed. I think of it like ice. Okay. When you get into the meditative state, it becomes like water. And so it's much more malleable. You can insert a new intention that then gets solidified. So when you are consciously awake again, that's in there like a new program. And I started to use I am open and patient. That was my intention. And so all of a sudden in my healing journey, I became more open. I became more patient, with things as they would unfold and what was like coming up. And so it was just this beautiful thing that started to open. And I realized that by shifting my internal world, I actually started to make a difference in my external world. Like my parents got calmer. Everyone around me was like, oh, she's going to be okay, because I started to kind of take the ownership rather than being a victim of my circumstance, which unfortunately I see so many people doing. And I don't judge them because I did the same thing. But it's like, no, you need to take your power back, right? And do not let yourself be at the mercy of the world and how it's treating you or whatever's going on. Like you need to say, no, I have a say, and it's how I'm going to interact and react with that. And that's going to determine my reality. And I'm going to create it from the inside out because nobody can touch your internal world.
Gotcha. Talk about that just a little more because if anything that I've learned about from talking to people on this show, it is that ability to create your world from the inside out.
Yes.
And it's difficult to do. It's the one thing that if I could figure out how to do it myself, I'd be doing it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. So for me, it's like, I just recently wrote this ebook called Mind Control. It's all in your head. And in it is literally 4 steps that I used to like master my mind and then start creating my reality. And the first thing that I talk about in that book is observe. You need to first observe your reactions. You need to understand that there is it's usually something from your programmed past, right? Causing you to react to a certain way in whatever situation. And you need to start observing this and realizing that, listen, that's something unresolved within you. And so long as you have this unresolved stuff, I think of it like it's like weighing you down. It's keeping you in a certain reality. It's keeping the same results coming in again and again and again, because everything's vibration. And the frequency we vibrate at is what attracts in. And so unbeknownst to us, we have this subconscious programming that's causing us to interact and react in a certain way. And no matter, the different characters and people and circumstances that come in, it's within us. So there we always are, right?
Gotcha.
And I say to people, look, you need to realize that every interaction, every single situation, it's unfolding for you. It's like a mirror. It's showing you what's unfinished within me. So I tell people all the time, your trigger is your teacher. Right? And what you are resisting, it will persist until you deal with it. Because what you need to do in life, to me, life is just a game. And it's like, all right, to get to the next level, I first have to figure out the challenges at this level. And they're always internal challenges, guys. They always are. Okay. You might think that person is their fault. No, they are triggering something within you. They are your teacher. I promise. And it can be uncomfortable, but they are teaching you something and they're revealing something within you that if they weren't there, you wouldn't know it was within you. It's kind of like a seed underneath the ground. Like unless the right weather comes in, it never comes out. And it's like we have this unfinished stuff that's like causing problems. It can even manifest into health issues. Like if you, have too much you push down. But so you have this person, this circumstance, my car accident, right?
Right.
Comes into the world. All of a sudden, all this stuff gets triggered. Why me? Like all this stuff, and it's like, why not you, Danielle? Like it's like you got to go, okay, look, what is this within me that's like not finished, that's feeling like a victim, feeling unseen, feeling unloved? Like what is that? And then you shine a light on it and you realize, okay, I can actually control that interaction and reaction. Once I see what it is and I realize, well, it's not me, that's just something that repressed something that's in there. Once I see it, I can let go of it and go, okay, that's actually not serving me. I'd much rather just be open to what's going on, be patient with it. And when you do that, what's super cool is you start to shift your vibration because it's like you've let go of these weights that have been weighing you down and you can come to the next level of your life. And when you do that, you start to see that, holy cow, I created the next level. And that equation I was telling you, where it's the external world plus your internal response that makes your reality. I think you have to go that direction first to take ownership, to realize, to master your own mind, master your thoughts, master the emotional responses you have, get yourself back into balance quickly. And then only from there, once you've gone through that, it's like now you have the doorway into realizing, okay, I can actually focus my energy and attention on something certain that I want. And I will hold that vibration consistently of it, not get pulled back down, right? Because that's what happens all the time. I see it, I'll get pulled down into my reality. I see it,
Correct.
pulled down. You can stay there because there's nothing weighing you down anymore. You've dealt with that stuff. You're ready for the next level and it will come to you. And that's how the creation works.
So for normal people, that people don't have brain injuries, we've all got problems, right?
Right? Yes.
Um, what's an example of something that somebody may want to change? It would it be like weight or fear of money, getting a promotion, travel, those sorts of things, or
Yeah.
give
And
me me an example of somehow we want to change this
so,
thing.
like when I do yoga nidras, I'll do private yoga nidras for people, and I say, "What is one thing that's not working for you in your life right now?" Okay.
Okay.
So let's say, what was the first thing you said? Weight. All right.
Okay.
So my weight's not working for me right now. Okay. And then I would ask, like, well, how would you desire it to be? What do you want it to look like? And then I ask, well, why do you think it's not that way right now? And so it's like this mirror comes in front of you, and you have to go, huh, yeah, what am I doing? Like, am I going for the sugary treat, right? Or am I going for a walk? What choice am I making that might be contributing to this? Am I, whatever it might be. And so when I'm setting an intention for somebody, I kind of walk through this process with them. So then we're able to create a statement that is positive, it is present tense, it is short, concise. It's like I reward myself in healthy ways, right? Might be something for someone with weight issues. So then in the meditation, we get into that space and that's what gets programmed in. And so now in your day to day, when you have a stressful moment, rather than going for the cookie, you'd say, no, I reward myself in healthy ways. I'm going to go for a walk, right? That's what
Gotcha.
starts to kind of reprogram. And if you have that statement, it's almost like well, intentions are so powerful, but a lot of people say affirmations and things like that. But it's like you have to keep yourself so focused on what it is that you're going for and remind yourself and act as if it's done and act like you're operating from that space. How would a Michael that is, loving their body and physically fit and whatever, like how does that Michael show up every day? What are the conversations Michael is having, and you just in
Gotcha.
that space.
So that Michael parks further away in the parking lot and gets up to the store and
Yeah,
he's out of breath. There you go. That's that Michael.
exactly. So when you're driving next time, it's like, well, which Michael am I?
I'm the
I
Michael
remember,
parking in front of the door.
right, for so long, I just thought like, oh, one day my brain injury is just going to be gone.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, it required me to actually shift into a different state where I was in a state of gratitude, of joy. And it was like, that was the key that unlocked it all. It was not resisting my current reality, but going, okay, I can flow with this. Like, this is what's here and I need to flow with it. And it was incredible because it's like the antidote is usually in the obstacle. And so once I did that, all of a sudden, because I was holding this higher vibration, the answer got attracted in. And I
Okay.
think, like, looking back, it's like, holy cow, we are so powerful. But so many of us don't realize it.
I want you to clarify something. A lot of people I've let this go like every time someone says it, and that is that I'm in a higher vibration. And
Yeah.
most people don't ever think about themselves as being energy or vibrations. What do you mean when you say
So
you've got to match this vibration?
yeah, this was new for me too, and like my degree is in biology. I love the scientific world, and so like this is where the quantum world goes. But for your average person, the way you think about it is your emotional state. So your thoughts, okay, dictate the emotional state you're in. And I think we've all been in situations
Yes.
where we think of something and then we start crying, right? Or you think of something, you start laughing. If your thoughts will dictate your emotional state. Your emotional state then actually dictates the actions you take. Okay. And that starts to dictate what gets drawn into your life. And so every emotion, you can feel it. You walk into a room and you've walked into a room before and you've been like, that person is ticked off. Right. Before anyone
Yes,
said anything, or you've walked in, you're like, gee, that person is so happy. Like, I just want to be in their energy, like I want to
correct.
be around them because they're like this magnet. That's what I mean. And fear, anger, jealousy, they hold a very low vibration. Uh,
Okay.
the things that hold a higher vibration, and again, this is just energy, is like joy, gratitude, love. They hold a much higher vibration. And so the more you can shift yourself out of these lower emotions, we'll just say, forget the word energy, just these lower emotional states, into an emotional state that is higher, that's when you start to, it's like you've watched people. I know we've all watched people that, like, if it's stuck in this vortex, of just like one bad thing after another bad thing after another bad thing.
Yep.
But I guarantee you also know people that it's one good thing after another good thing after another good thing. And you're like, why are they so lucky? Or not? They either consciously or, they're unconsciously competent, but they've tapped into this. And it's like, once you realize that thing that exists, it's like, holy cow, like, it's like the secret to the universe is written right there for us, and we've been missing it. But you can get yourself out of the downward spiral by making an internal shift and choice. And I say that as if it's easy. It's not easy.
Mm-mm.
It's not easy, and it takes a lot of inner work, and it, like, a lot of looking at your own junk, which a lot of people don't want to do. But promise you, when you do it, you're like free. It's like, holy cow, I shackled my own self with my own mind, right? Like, you don't need to be in that space.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you've got you through your yoga, through your mom, through your intentions, through your mind, got out of the brain problem that you had,
Yeah.
and you've gotten to where you are now.
Yes.
Now, what other things other than just the mind
Mm,
were you actually doing to get out of this space? Were you doing exercise, supplements? What
yeah.
else were you doing?
Great question, Michael. And it's so interesting because so many people are dealing with health challenges. And, there's powerful teachers out there. Joe Dispenza, like, people can go to some of his sessions, and, they have this spontaneous healing, right? But those are difficult states to obtain. All right. When you get into the quantum world. But for your average person, it's like, look, get your emotional state right. That's what I did. I got my mental and emotional state right. And then I started to attract in the answers. And the answer came to me in a blue bottle. For those of you that can see, like, this blue bottle that's sitting behind me, it's called ASEA.
Mhm.
And an acupuncturist called my mom and said, listen, I've started using something in my practice. And she said, every single one of my clients having results with it, all of them with different issues. She said, basically, it goes in and it signals, it helps to amplify the signal. Think of it like a Wi-Fi booster, right? It amplifies the signal in the body so that the body's own detection system can more rapidly find damage, find mutated cells, turn back on things that have been switched off, like our genes, our antioxidants. And she said it basically just puts in more of what that signal is that the body usually uses and helps your system heal itself.
Okay.
And I thought, this sounds way too good to be true. I was like, there's nothing like this out there,
Yeah.
The biologist in me was like, show me show me the science. But this stuff was very new to the market at the time. It's called redox signaling. And they didn't have the answers I wanted. So I kind of ignored it, but my mom took it. And Michael, what was amazing is my mom had bone on bone in her hands. Like, she couldn't
Uh-huh.
make a fist without difficulty. There was so much inflammation. 6 weeks of drinking this stuff, full range of motion back in her hands. Like, she's making fists. She's like, my discomfort's down. And I'm thinking placebo. It's so interesting. Like, the answers can be right in front of us, and sometimes we just
Correct.
miss it. And so then my dad starts drinking it, and he starts to feel better from a 30-year-old knee injury within 10 days. He's not having to wear his brace. He's working out. He says, I feel like I have more energy in my workouts. Like, the stuff's incredible. What's the research on it? And so my dad's a bit more analytical like me. So they dove into the research. At the time, it was all on athletes, what this was doing to help with repair, how it was helping them with endurance. And it was a field of science that my dad came back to me and said, Danielle, this field is so new. It wasn't in your textbooks when you were in school. It's a brand new field. They're just learning the role of these molecules. And he said, I believe it's the missing link. And so, up to that point, nothing was really getting me over the hump. I was 2 years out from my accident. I was emotionally happier, but I was physically still completely impaired. And I started drinking these redox molecules. And I drank
Okay.
8 ounces a day, and nothing really happened until the third month. In the third month of using these molecules, all of a sudden the pounding in my head stopped. And that had been relentless for 2 years. And I thought, what is going on here? And then I started to be able to concentrate again. Like I had the clarity of mind to get the words out I wanted to say when I wanted to say them. I could follow conversation. And I started to have energy again, where I wasn't having to nap every few hours. And I remember my cognitive therapist said to me, Danielle, I've worked with your type of injury for 30 years, and I've never seen somebody have such a rapid recovery so far out from the initial trauma. She said, with your injury, it doesn't happen. What in the hell is that stuff you started drinking? And that Michael was everything. You know, she and I together actually got on the phone with a gentleman that was on the medical board of that company. His name's Dr. David Silverman, and he explained to us what this stuff was, how it worked, how your body makes it from saline. Like your body literally takes the saline in your cells and it uses the sodium and the chloride of salt and the hydrogen and oxygen of water to make a bunch of different combinations and a bunch of different molecules. And I thought, man, nature is so simple and so elegant, you know, like hydrogen peroxide. We all have it in our house. Like it's made from the same building blocks as water, H2O, H2O2. And it's like, it's just, the world is, it's just incredible how it's built and how we're built. So, you know, after that happened, I just thought this was put in my lap for a reason. And I truly believe we go through things for a reason. And if you'd have told me that the day that I got hit by that drunk driver, I probably would have punched you in the face.
Right.
I did not have the perspective in the moment. But looking back, it's like, you know, if that hadn't happened, I would not have gone through this journey of self-realization, right? Learned all about myself and just a bigger perspective on life. But also I would never have come across this breakthrough. And I have now, it's been 8 years that I've been using it. I have now educated people around the world because it helps each person where they need it. And so the challenge that you have or the challenge that your dog has is going to be different. And this just goes in and it stimulates that body to find, you know, what's off and bring it back into alignment. And I have gotten to watch things that I swear just give me goosebumps. And it's like, it has made the whole journey beyond worth it. You know, It's like, people have said to me, if you could go back, would you change anything? And I'm like, well, thank goodness I don't have the option to go back because that was very difficult to go through. So it's hard to say, yeah, I want to set myself up for that again. But honestly, what's come out of it is so beautiful. I have a friend, he writes just the most amazing music. And he has one song called No Mud, No Lotus. You know, happy. It's like what you go through, you grow through. And it's beautiful when you can come out of something. I think people talk about post-traumatic stress all the time.
Yes.
But they don't talk about post-traumatic growth, which I have come to find out that's actually what I went through. And there's a whole term for it, but it's when you go through something so traumatic, but you use it, it's like you transmute it into something powerful and you come out stronger on the other side. And I honestly think that's what life is serving all of us all the time. And it's just, we miss it, you know, and we feel victimized. We don't address it for what it is head on and say, how do I get through this obstacle and push myself to grow into a different version? Because growth it's difficult. It doesn't feel good.
Wow. So is redox, by the way, is that a scientific term or is that a brand name or?
Oh, it's a scientific term. Yeah. So ASEA is the name of the company. And redox it just stands for reductants and oxidants. Okay. So scientific literature talks about it as redox, but reductants are just negatively charged. It's like electron transfer, okay? And oxidants are positive. They take an electron. So we're really talking at the very base level is electron transfer, and that's what activates things. That's how the body communicates.
Okay, cool. You are just blowing my mind today, and I'm loving what we're talking about. I want people to be able to get in touch with you. I want them to be able to learn more about redox and about the products. So I think we set up a special thing where they can actually find you and
so if you can, I think that the best place, guys, if you want to learn more about redox, like honestly, you're listening to this for a reason, right? Maybe you have a health challenge going on, maybe a loved one does, maybe you know somebody's going through what I went through, and there's a website. So it's a funny way of looking, but you know, shortened. There you go, perfect, at the bottom of the screen. .teamasea.com. If you go there, there's a button that says contact me. Click that and then put your phone number, put your email, and we can send you information so you can learn about this. I would say don't go to Google. There's so much BS out there on Google. Come and we can connect you with the doctors that work with this, help explain it, help say, okay, how is this relevant to you in your life? And if you want to get it, we can actually, we can purchase it, help you purchase it and walk you through, look, how much do you need? What's the best thing? They have a liquid and a gel. And so like, there's 1,000 uses for that gel. I think it's like first aid in a tube.
There you go. Awesome. I have to get some so I can be younger. There we go.
You go. It helps. It helps.
Okay. They can also get in touch with you through your website, brainbodyself.com. And of course, you have to be on Instagram at _ Danielle Matthews _ and it looks pretty like that. And you're also on Facebook at Discover Intention. So facebook.com/Discover Intention. I love all of this. This is just amazing stuff. The science behind it, your story, your testimony, just makes me incredibly happy to listen to it and understand it's like something can happen. And I really love the way that you summed up vibration from the low, sad, angry to the happy vibrations, and walking into the room and going like, yeah, that person over there, I want to stay away
And you
from.
feel it, right? But none of us ever talk about it. It's like, that's it's like a sixth sense, but we have it. And the more you pay attention to it, like, you're picking up things all the time. And you're also giving off things all the time.
I want to give off some good stuff, and I hope everybody starts to do that too, right? So, Danielle, thank you so much for being on the show today. I will have you back again in the future, and we might want to just talk about some of this cool yoga that you were talking about. So
yeah, you should go to the website and try it. It's the best.
Excellent. I will. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.